she is.
Good morning, Tannic Grips. It's 11 a.m. We figured that's a good time to taste some cider.
Big time.
Where should we start?
Well, we're going to taste two ciders. One that's a little bit more clean and refreshing, and then one that's going to be a little bit funkier. Then we'll talk about our... We've got a pretty large cider selection at Henry & Son, and so we just kind of wanted to touch on those as well. So,
what's one of your favorites that we're not going to taste?
I really like the Cider. If you're familiar with Isategui, that's one we also have in the shop. It's kind of traditional Spanish Basque cider where it's still, and you want to pour it kind of from an elevated point and like into a glass like this. Perons are great. Jill just pours it straight in your mouth. What that does is it aerates it. And what I love about this style of cider is that it's a little briny and it's got some savory notes, but it also goes incredibly well with really like assertively flavored foods like fatty fish. Like I've had it with mackerel and like grilled whole mackerel, and it was just the most perfect pairing ever. Yeah, it's great. So it's great on its own, but I also think it just, when done with the right food, it really brings out the best. They bring out the best in each other.
They tend to be like, Basque ciders tend to be really acidic, so they love fatty things like mackerel, like ribeye steaks. My favorite, I have a hard time deciding, but like for a local suspect, Keepsake, they're the only ones really doing hyper local and also natural cider, like native ferments like that I'd say, but also no sulfur added. Just really cool project out of Dundas. And then Vetter cider, it's a little bit more expensive, $25 for a cider. But wait, let's just, why is $25 for a cider expensive when $25 for wine is not? Let's touch on that, because cider always gets thrown in with beer.
It does.
Why? Because of the ABV?
I mean, I don't know. I guess, well, it's also more, I would say it's more traditionally served. Like you'll see it in cans or you'll see it in bottles. So like, and while there is canned wine in the world, it's just, that'd be my guess. I don't know.
I mean, let's face it, it's a fruit that is being fermented of its own, with its own sugars, right? If it's a good quality cider. So these people have one time a year, like wine, to make a great product. So when you're spending, $10 or $12 or $25 on cider, it's like completely different ball game than beer. That if you screw up beer, you can just make it again, and that has a whole enzymatic process that we won't talk about today on Tannic Grips in order to release sugars and grains. So let's just taste, shall we?
All right.
So Petrotegui, these guys are out of the Boston tree. Yeah, they are less than about a 15-minute drive from San Sebastian, which I'm sure so many people are familiar with. All native yeast fermentations, and they're dealing with, this is a 4-year-old, 5-year-old cider at this point. So from the 2015 vintage, what makes this awesome, it's fermented in the bottle for the second fermentation. So it's made really just like a champagne. I don't know, what do you think? Oh.
It is like so... It smells like apple blossoms to me on the nose, like right away.
Oh, man. Here they're using, too, I actually have to use a cheat sheet to reference because they're using local Basque apples like Chalaca, Mantoni. Here, say this one fast 5 times. After that's it. Urtebe aundi.
Urtebe aundi. Urtebe aundi. This is really good. I don't care. They did great with the Urtebe aundi. I nailed it. Great selection.
You did. Super refined bubbles. Like not really coarse like a lot of ciders, and also not still. Basque ciders are known for having a very low effervescence, and here that second fermentation in bottle to create that more lively effervescence is just absolutely gorgeous.
It's awesome.
And we have Shaxberry to thank for importing Petrotegui, because they're not in markets where you can't find Shaxberry. Shaxberry met them, learned a lot about Basque cider from Petrotegui, and that's why they're here.
That's super cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're Gipuzkoa is the name of the region, and they're located on this river called the River Urumea, which goes down and to San Sebastian and empties into the Bay of Biscay, and they're making ciders. They're aging them and they're shipping them on boats down the Urumea to like rekindle how it used to be to like ship cider like on the donkey or the horse through the forest and then down a river. So drink Petra Tegi. It's just delicious.
It's really, really delicious.
Want to crack open the Dunkertons? Yeah, and it's dry. Everything we have on the table today is dry. We actually have what? Yes, it's ready. It's so 11 a.m.
It's a really good drink for 11 a.m. I'm like glassy eyed. I'm like, tomorrow. Like, excuse me, I'm gonna wipe this up.
So this is, I'll
just keep talking.
do 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 do.
So this is a great example of something that can happen when you open things.
When ciders are fermented naturally, and when they don't have a lot of sulfur added, and when they aren't filtered, and then when they have a good chunk of sediment in the bottom, open with caution, because there can be a little bit of excitement to come and to go all over your table or in your food or whatever, which sometimes putting a little cider in your food can be a good thing. Dunkertons. You can already smell how much more barnyardy it is. It's like, whoa. People that like funk, people that like sour Britt, like Brettanomyces, biological beers would love this. We're west of London, we're east of Wales. We're closer actually to Wales than we are to London, but to give you an idea of where in England we are. This is a cidery that they actually are organic 3 ways. Not only are they certifying their orchards and their own cellar, but every grower that they work with is also certified so that they know the provenance of their ciders are clean with no pesticides, herbicides, etc. Ooh,
That's weird.
funky.
This is
Whoa.
got a crazy finish.
It's very barnyardy. It's very like people that like bandaged cheeses, like cheddars. Like
to me, it's like very blue cheese. Like it's like that thin vein at the end. Like
imagine this with blue cheese.
I know.
With like wheat crackers, blue cheese, maybe a touch of honey.
Oh, for sure.
This is so this has 14 different apples in it, all native to England. Some I've written a couple of them down. One is called Fox Whelp. One is called Sheep's Nose. One is also called Brown Snout, and more. They may have them even on the back of the label. And just a quick kind of background. So, usually English ciders, if they're not kind of cheap can or cheap tap British ciders, they're known for being like a little funkier, a lower effervescence like Bosc ciders, but with kind of more of a bruised apple and less acidic, which I think is fair to say. Would you say that this is less acidic than the Ardatsain or the Petra Tegi?
Definitely. It's like, malty isn't the word here, but it's definitely got like a more muted note than the acid. And then it's, I don't know if you touched on this, but like it's fermented separately in vats. So like they're all, again, like another way to like kind of liken it to wine in similar, like when you have a blended wine. I mean, you can do co-ferments where everything's fermented together, but this is like an example where these are all done, like all of these apples are all fermented separately and then brought together. So it's like a blended wine. So yet another like way to like think more of cider. You can think of it like beer, but thinking about it like wine can also just open up your mind to like, I don't know, sometimes I think that helps me drink it a little bit, like when I consider it more of a wine than I do like a beer.
Cool point. Yeah. Well, so just to know, we have plenty of cider here that we're super excited about, and we thought, well, it's not fall, but let's face it, in fall you eat apples, you eat apple butter. Cider's not ready yet. So cider starts to be ready in like February, and then through summer, and you drink all the cider, and then it's time to harvest apples to make more cider. So here's to happy drinking, to Tannic Grips, and to the fermented apple.
To the fermented apple.
Cheers. We didn't even introduce ourselves, did we?
They know.